Hey Lee, where you at?
I am in Creston, Wyoming. I was planning on cruising today to the Flying J down a little bit further, about 21 miles, and I just decided to um, sit it out. The wind was 30 plus miles an hour. It was kind of quartering to crosswind, and when it gets like that, I don't want to be having FedEx with triples passing me and having the back triple blown into me. So I just figured we'd sit it out. Tomorrow the wind will be between 6 and 11 miles an hour. That's pretty doable. So, yeehaw!
Yeehaw, is that pretty average winds? I know we talked about wind in one of these podcasts, but um, is it that average wind for Wyoming, or does it get a little windier in certain states more than others?
Um, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana. Though 30 miles an hour is just a breezy spring day, but the problem is I'm watching other traffic and how it reacts, um, how the wind blows it all over the place. I've had as I said, I've had places where they were saying gusts up to 90. I don't know if it got up to that, but I am. I'm cautious about it, especially since I have a really lightweight wagon this time around. I just don't need to be risking it.
Yeah.
It's not like I have to be across country in in a time frame. That's the thing. I'll get across there when I get across, not a second sooner, not a second later. So,
I like it.
yeah,
Yeehaw. Two questions for you.
sure.
So one, you said you have a lighter wagon and you only have one horse, right?
Hmm.
And so you have a pretty good idea of how much one horse can pull and what that wagon has to look like, right? I'm guessing.
I do. Okay, and let me go and just explain. Um, I generally figure when a horse is in condition, when a Suffolk is in condition, they can pull about 2.25 times their own weight on a good grade. Um, it'll be more when there's multiple horses. So I'm considering him right now, um, 1.5 to 1.75 times his body weight, and he weighs 2250. So round numbers, I'm figuring about 3,200 pounds is the maximum. When I'm full of feed and water, I'm really close to that. Really, really close to that. I was going to run it on the scale the other day, but I'm getting a little tight on money, so I put that off. I figured it was more important to keep the cell phone up than it was to scale out. But anyway, I'm just, you just try to keep it light.
And so, do you normally weigh your wagons before you go out, or do you weigh your horses, or you have them weighed, or you just?
I normally I will go across scales that do everything. Um, I've been the only thing I can get around here is truck scale, and I'd rather take them to a truck scale that's like at a gravel pit or something like that. That way I can weigh them out and sort them, and not have quite as many trucks running around. I don't know how he's going to do. He seems to do pretty well around trucks, but we're just taking it easy and slowly. So next time I get near a scale, maybe in Rollins, I can find one.
Yeah. And then my second
So
question was, have you ever, like you talked about 90-mile-an-hour winds, have you ever been in the middle of, on the road and like there's a bad lightning storm or a tornado or anything like that?
oh, for God's sakes, yes, I've been involved in all of them. Um, I try not to be on the road at that time. I try to be parked. Um, it, sometimes you just don't have any choice. You can't get off the road sometimes when a thunderstorm comes through real quick, or like a few years ago, uh, um, on the road I'm about to go on from Walcott to Laramie on US 30. I got into a hailstorm. It dumped hail for about half an hour. It dumped about 3 inches of hail, and I couldn't move because the horses couldn't walk on that hail. We had to wait until some of it melted and a car came through. And the really funny thing is, I was sitting on a raised piece of road, so I couldn't pull over to the side without flipping the wagon. So all I could do was just sit there, and it was very uncomfortable because you were kind of waiting for somebody to come barreling into me. So, yeehaw.
But it didn't happen, and it all worked out, didn't
Nope,
it?
it all worked out. It all worked out. Took us about, as I say, it took about half an hour after storm passed. We had to sit there and waited for a couple cars to come by and dig some ruts, and away we went. That was Rock River. I'm going to go through Rock River in 5 or 6 days.
Gotcha.
So,
today was,
I had something to think about. It was just kind of a relaxed day. Just sitting. Actually, I've been sitting by the heater, and I've got the heater on right now, trying to get warm. It's supposed to go down to 22 tonight. I don't know if it'll make it that cold, but I'll blanket the big guy up. He obviously likes it because he doesn't try to rub it off through the night. I feel more comfortable, just knowing that he's warm, comfortable. So, yeehaw. Go ahead.
Do your horses ever, do they sleep standing up by the wagon, or do they just lay down, or is that, I've heard rumors that horses sleep standing up. I don't know if that's true or not, and I apologize.
They do sleep standing up in the right conditions, and this is not the right conditions. They will lay down and go into a REM sleep. I think he can do it standing up, just relaxing. But anyway, yeah, he sleeps on his feet all the time.
Gotcha.
So, yeehaw.
Yeehaw. Have you ever had it to be so cold, below zero or way below zero, that you were just like, no matter how much heat you had in your wagon or for your horses, it just wasn't enough? Or have you always?
You mean like 45 below zero in Minnesota? Or maybe it was 40. Anyway, either way, when it gets below 30, you really don't pay much attention. Yeah, I've had it happen, and I had enough sleeping bags. And nowadays, I insulate the shit out of my wagons. If I were keeping this one, I'd be putting another 2 inches of insulation on the outside, and then sealing it even more. You just have to be warm. And then the horses, as long as if it gets cold, they can handle the cold, but you have to keep them out of the wind. And you have to feed them. They have to be able to eat as much as they can possibly eat. That's why part of the reason why I'm really a big fan of hay. I'm not crazy about hay cubes, but feeding alfalfa, they get enough nutrition and enough energy out of that hay, and their digestive system generates heat as it's digesting, so that keeps them warm right there. So, yeehaw.
That's something that your friend from PETA probably doesn't think about too much, is it?
No. The Wicked Witch of the West. We ought to put a countdown or a PETA count on my homepage of the website, so that we could keep track of the number of times I've been harassed by PETA.
Is she still giving you trouble, or is she kind of?
The last truck stop I was at, she called and Morgan, one of the gals who works there, answered it, and then just said, "Wait a minute," and put her on hold, and Morgan went away with her job and just didn't do anything. And eventually, she hung up. So
is this lady still following you, or you think, or how does she know?
Oh yeah.
You see her drive by?
She's calling, trying to find out where I am.
Oh, so she lost you.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't want that. So maybe we need to put it up on the website so that I'm here.
No, we'll let her keep looking, or she'll find her peace one way or the other. I mean, Lee, what do you think about, not just, I don't want to say people like that, but people who get, I guess, their rocks off on harassing someone else?
You mean people who shift from animal welfare to basically terrorists?
Sure.
Um,
That's how you want
that's
to word it.
that sums it up pretty well. It's the people want to inflict their beliefs upon me. No, um, they know where the hell they can go. And as I said, the first words out of my mouth to her is "Go fuck yourself." When she came up to me and said that I want to talk to you about this poor horse, because I knew what was coming. So you just kind of deal with them peremptorily, and if they get in your way, run them over. So, yeehaw.
Yeehaw. All right. Is there anything else on your mind, or?
When I was driving carriages in Chicago, Peter was protesting, and one of there wasn't anybody I would want to, but I offered to take one of them on a date. I got off at 10. Want to go and have a drink? And with that, I got sworn at like you would think I was raping the Virgin Mary. So they're not rational. Anyway, enough of that. It just kind of cracked me up remembering that.
You have
Yeehaw!
Yeehaw.
Well, I'm pretty much done with things. So if you want to cut out, we'll cut out.
All right.
But we will say, everybody, if you could go to YouTube and subscribe, it would help. Not immediately, but in the long term, it'll help. So, yeehaw. And you have anything else to add there, sir?
I don't think so. I think we wrap this one up.
Okie doke.
All right.
We'll catch y'all later in the next day or two. Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.